بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن اتبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين أما بعد. Welcome to this new lecture, and this is probably one of the most important lectures from this entire series. In previous lectures we have looked at the speech of the author concerning the obligation of refuting, as well as what Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyah rahimahullah ta'ala says concerning refuting, that it is an absolute necessity and it's inevitable to preserve the religion. And then he spoke about those that claim that avoiding refutation, remaining quiet about people of falsehood, people of deviation and innovation is the wisest path to take, because that will fix the crack of the ummah and bring the Muslims together. And Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyah has also explained that in his day and age there were people that were on extremes concerning this matter. Some would make takfir on whoever disagrees with them, and others would just remain quiet and brush everything off by claiming that this was from the matters of khilaf that were acceptable. So after this, Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyah is explaining to us now what is it that we have to do. So remember, we're in a context of disagreeing, we're in a context of individuals disagreeing and groups of individuals disagreeing. Groups having turned into tawa'if, yani religious groups. So Ibn Taymiyah says, and this is on page 12 of the PDF, and it is 5 lines from the bottom of the page. 5 lines up from the bottom of the page. وَإِنَّمَا الْوَاجِبُ بَيَانُ مَا بَعَثَ اللَّهُ بِهِ رُسُلَهُ وَأَنزَلَ بِهِ كُتُبَهُ وَتَبْلِيغ مَا جَاءَتْ بِهِ الرُّسُلُ عَنِ اللَّهِ وَالْوَفَاءِ بِمِيثَاقِ اللَّهِ الَّذِي أَخَذَهُ عَلَى الْعُلَمَاءِ. So, مَا جَاءَ عَنِ اللَّهِ. You see, that's a core theme in Shaykh al-Islam's speech, whether it is in these quotes right here or in other ones of his books. You see that as soon as we're talking about some people going this way and other people going that way, he doesn't make claims about madahib or about, the scholars or the salaf, etc. He always brings it back to ma ja'a anillah, or, through different expressions like here, ma ba'ath Allahu bihi rusul. So that is core. Keep that in mind. وأن يعلم ما جاءت به الرسل ويؤمن به ويبلغه ويدعو إليه ويجاهد عليه. Then pay close attention. ويزن جميع ما خاض الناس فيه من أقوال وأعمال في الأصول والفروع الباطنة والظاهرة بكتاب الله وسنة رسوله صلى الله عليه وسلم. So I'm going to translate this part first. So verily, the obligation is to clarify what Allah has sent His messengers with and convey it to the people and stick to the pact that Allah has taken from the scholars to clarify the truth and to know what Allah has sent His messengers with, and whether to know this, to believe in it, to convey it, to call to it, and to strive for it. Then وَيَزِنُ جَمِيعَ مَا خَاضَ النَّاسُ بِهِ, and he puts everything that people are talking or disagreeing about on the scales of the Quran and the Sunnah. Alright? يَزِنُ جَمِيعَ مَا خَاضَ النَّاسُ فِي مِنْ أَقْوَالٍ وَأَعْمَالٍ. Whether it is actions or speech, whether it is in the matters of aqeedah or in the matters of worship or transactions between people, whether it is from the hidden matters, like the matters pertaining to the soul, or the apparent matters, action. All of this has to be brought back to 2 things: the Book of Allah and the Sunnah of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Then he goes on to say, now, so far, everybody claims this, of course. Alright? Everybody claims this. So now Ibn Taymiyah, he goes on explaining to us what is the opposite of this, in order to, for us to make the difference between what this is really about and when this is just used as lip service in order to camouflage something else. So he says, rahimahullah ta'ala, غير متبعين لهوى من عادة أو مذهب أو طريقة أو رياسة أو سلف ولا متبعين للظن من حديث ضعيف أو قياس فاسد سواء أكان قياس شمول أو قياس تمثيل. Now pay close attention. أو تقليد لمن لا يجب اتباع قوله وعمله فإن الله ذم في كتابه الذين يتبعون الظن وما تهوى الأنفس ويتركون اتباع ما جاءهم من ربهم من الهدى. So, this is key, people. So as we said, he is insisting on ما جاء عن الله, what came from Allah, the Quran and the Sunnah. And he says, not following Hawaa. Now, Hawaa is very often translated as desires, but I don't really like that translation. The real meaning of Hawaa is mailun nafs. So mailun nafs is your personal inclinations. So it's something within yourself that kind of unconsciously makes you rather go this way than that way. And that can be linked to a whole plethora of things. And Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyah gives us some of the most important ones here. So he says, we're not supposed to follow Hawaa, whether it be, so he gives you categories of Hawaa. What are these things that you can be inclined to? Aada, the customs of your country or your own habits. All right, we've always been doing things this way, so, that's just the way it's done. This is what we got to do. No, that is a form of Hawaa. Or madhab. Now, when we speak about madhab, we have, of course, the madahib of fiqh. المذاهب الأربعة حنبلي شافعي مالكي and Hanafi, right? So we cannot, like some extreme mutamadhiba said, any ayah or hadith that is not in accordance with our madhab is either abrogated or mu'awwal, reinterpreted. So here you see that the scale to measure things is not the Quran and the Sunnah, it is the madhab for these people. Right? When something comes, we do not match it against the Quran and the Sunnah. No, we match it against the madhab. And whenever the Quran and the Sunnah contradicts the madhab, well, the madhab is what we follow. So we need to switch whatever came from the Quran and the Sunnah in order for it to fit the madhab. Right? However, the word madhab is not limited to the school. It can also mean a path. Like the word madhab in Arabic is ma dhahaba ilay. Yani the direction you took. Be it on a mas'ala ilmiya, be it on a mas'ala whatever. Like the opinion that you have on something, that's your madhab on that thing. Right? You will say, for example, مذهب الإمام الشوكاني في ركعتي بعد العصر أنه لا تحية المسجد بعد العصر أنه لا يدخل المسجد. Like the Imam al-Shawkani, his madhab concerning doing tahiyyat al-masjid after asr, he says just stay out of the masjid because this is such a mushkil issue. We don't know what's right from wrong. So that becomes his madhab, right? This is what the word madhab is used. So likewise, today, in any matter where you follow a scholar and he has an opinion upon something, his opinion is his madhab upon this issue. So when Ibn Taymiyah says madhab, it's not just Hanafi, Hanbali, etc. Right? It is any opinion of a scholar or of a group of scholars or a ta'ifa, an Islamic sect. Right? Then he says tariqa. Now tariqa, you could say this is a synonym for madhab. It's just that the word is usually used in the context of tasawwuf. Right? The Sufi madahib of, cleansing the nafs, etc. Likewise, especially in modern days, these tara'iq or turuq, they are full of contradictions of the Quran and the Sunnah, contradicting the Quran and the Sunnah across the board. All right, so we cannot use this as a measuring stick. We have to bring it back here if we want the truth and if we want to come forward. Or ri'asa, leadership, whether it be the leadership of your country or the leadership of your community, of your masjid, etc. If the leader says it, then this is what we got to follow. No, there is a big difference between the position of Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah that the leader has to be obeyed bil ma'roof and just swallowing everything that comes from the leadership, especially in a politically complex context like we are in today, and say that, okay, whatever comes from the government, we have to stick to this. No, there's a difference between not doing khuruj and just swallowing everything that comes down the pipe, right? Our reference point is this. Then, also following a salaf. Now, this does not necessarily mean a salaf al-salih, yani the 3 first generation, but it also includes the 3 first generation, right? The people, the scholars, the golden age of Islam, we still, when we have a matter of, unclarity, people are disagreeing about, we cannot just bring it back to, Fulan from the Salaf says this. Because Fulan from the Salaf, as such, is not a hujjah. Right? Fulan from the Salaf, his qawl has to be matched with the Quran and the Sunnah. Right? And if his qawl is correct, that will give us a way of implementing this matter of the Sharia the way the Salaf implemented it. But sometimes we have matters, we have certain positions from the Salaf that are shadh, that are abnormal, that are gharib, strange. So you cannot take that one qawl from one Salaf somewhere and make that the absolute basic rule that is contradicting so many clear texts from the Quran and the Sunnah and from the general meanings of the Sharia, and then say that, this is our reference point. No, that is absolute falsehood. Next, dhann is what you think. You think this is right, you think this is wrong. And then Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyah, he says that also within dhann you have al-qiyas al-fasid, is to make corrupt analogies. And that's a masala of usul al-fiqh that we shall not get into. And then one of the most important matters that is explained in here right now is this one here. تقليد من لا يجب اتباع قوله أو عمله, is to blind follow someone whose word or action we haven't been ordered to follow. Now people, please stop on this one right here, because this one is really of utmost importance. And us Salafis, we have become absolutely nasty when it comes to this matter right here. Again, you see Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyah, he always insists on ma ja'a anillah. When things happen, we take statements of certain scholars and we put them as being the thing that is obligatory for the ummah to be followed. Even if other scholars from the Sunnah, from the well-known scholars of the Sunnah that nobody is arguing about, even if the majority are contradicting this one scholar, we have people that have a very complex argumentation with a whole bunch of aqwal al-salaf, etc., or even from other contemporary scholars to make this an absolute statement that, we have to cancel everything else and follow this one here. So people understand differentiation between following scholars and what is meant here. Allah has ordered us to refer our matters to the scholars. All right? However, so how are you supposed to do that? First of all, you have homework to do. You have to read from here and here, from the Quran and the Sunnah, what you understand, and use the well-known books from the past. Books that are, unanimously accepted by the people of Sunnah and even by other than the people of Sunnah, in order to have an idea what the Sunnah is about. From these books are, in matters of, dealings and ibadah, etc., Riyadh al-Salihin by Imam al-Nawawi. In matters of tafsir, Tafsir Ibn Kathir. In matters of aqidah, Sharh al-Tahawiyah by Ibn Abi al-Izz. In matters of, also aqidah and related matters pertaining to groups and sects, etc., Usul al-Sunnah by Imam Ahmad. These books are accessible to the lay people. They are, especially in the English world, you have abridged versions with certain comments to clarify certain ambiguities. that kind of stuff is accessible to you. You need to read this in order when you look around and you have kind of like boxes to tick off. Okay, well, this scholar, he claims this, and that's exactly what I have read in this book. So you can say that, all right, this scholar, I believe he's trustworthy, and in the matters that are too complicated, where me as a small individual, as a 9-to-5 Muslim, or as a basic student of knowledge, or even an advanced student of knowledge, I don't have sufficient tools from the Quran and the Sunnah to make sense of what is happening right here, whether it be the political turmoil of the dunya, or modern day issues like, all these complicated financial transactions that we're dealing with nowadays, or, how to deal with all the social turmoil that we have in the West, whether it be, racism, all the stuff linked to homosexuality and what is now beyond homosexuality, etc. You can say, all right, when it comes down to these matters, I refer them to this scholar because from what I've seen, I trust him. Fine, you're allowed to do that. However, number one, you are not allowed to make this individual binding upon other people. Like, for example, back in the 90s and the early 2000s in Europe, we had this claim that when it comes down to khilafi matters, we have to follow Sheikh al-Albani. Why not? Why can't we take the word of Sheikh bin Baz, al-Uthaymin, Muqbil and others? No, because these scholars, bin Baz, Uthaymin, etc., they say that Sheikh al-Albani is the muhaddith of our time, and Imam Ahmad said that at-Ta'ifatul Mansura, they are Ashabul Hadith. So because of that, Sheikh al-Albani, he's the one we have to follow. No, this is a complete wrong equation. Likewise, today we have the claim that Sheikh Rabi', he's the Imam of Jarh wa Ta'deel. So we have to follow his opinion, whatever the heck. No matter how blatantly contradicting the Quran and the Sunnah it is, no matter if he is all alone or he just has his little, close crew, and you have all the others well-known scholars of the Sunnah that have contradicting him and telling you to stay away from this. No. He is Imam al-Jarh wa Ta'deel. We have to stick to his qawl. And you make his qawl binding upon the ummah. That's exactly what Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyah is talking here about. تقليد من لا يجب اتباع قوله وعمله. Shaykh Rabi', just like anybody else, يُخَذُ مِنْ قَوْلِهِ وَيُرَدْ. And we have people that are openly claiming that Shaykh Rabi's qawl is not to be rejected, and that we test people with Shaykh Rabi himself. We ask him, what's your position concerning Shaykh Rabi'? And concerning every individual that he has spoken about positively or negatively. That people claim this without even being embarrassed. People, that is not the Sunnah. Alright? So, now, as I said, the first matter is you making the qawl binding. The second matter is when you have a lot of disagreement and other scholars are proving to you with clear-cut, qat'i proof from the Quran and the Sunnah that your scholar's position in this matter is wrong, it is not for you to follow your scholar's position. Alright? So, refer back to the lesson that I did on the different types of khilaf and the different levels of masail and adillah. You have the qat'i, which is the clear-cut matter, and then you have the khilafi, which are the matters where disagreeing is acceptable, because we are dealing with matters that leave room for interpretation. Right? So as long as it is within something where you are left with room for interpretation, and your scholar is within the scope of that room, you're allowed to follow him. But you are never allowed to make his position binding upon any other Muslim. I hope that's clear. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.